Suspension is a doozy. Every time we talk about it, it's like someone in the comment section is pretty much like, so listen bro, I heard what you said, but could you say it again for my friend in the back because he didn't understand like anything. But in all honesty, suspension and just the whole dang tamale can be a bit dodgy to understand, and we get that. So today we're gonna be talking about it from the basics. We're gonna talk about some rookie mistakes people make when buying suspension. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell button next to the subscribe so we can keep making really cool, incredible content like this. And look at all the other marvelous stuff you're probably missing out on by not being subscribed. On this episode of So You Want, we're talking about the one, the only, the Nissan GTR. If you're looking for suspension, fitmentindustries.com. Just trust me, we got you. So going back into the basics, the first mistake that many people make when it comes down to buying suspension is purchasing a product simply based on price alone. Now, this goes for the people all the way in the back looking for a quick investment to slam their car, and it also goes for those that buy the expensive suspension components because they just want to tell everybody that their stuff was expensive, and because it was expensive, therefore, it is automatically just better than everybody else, which, stop it. Get some help. Pricing is a terrible way to determine what sort of suspension you should get. It should be instead be based on what we plan on doing with the suspension. Now, if you got a new car and you want friends to stop making fun of that monster truck status you've got going on, but you happen to have an electromagnetic suspension, I wouldn't recommend just going over and deciding to pay $4,000 because your friends convinced you that that whole coilover setup is way better than the lowering springs that were $300. But in fact, the $300 lowering springs with your stock electromagnetic suspension or some sort of OEM super fancy suspension will actually do almost the exact same thing, if not behave better than any sort of static coilovers that are less than $4,000. And the same thing would go for the boys and girls out there that are trying to keep it as cheap as possible on the track and treat every coilover the same. It's just not how it works. They just aren't. The more affordable, or dare I even say cheap coilovers under any sort of performance metric will misbehave when comparing it to a ton of OEM suspension options. And you're gonna wanna research what you need the product for, find out if you're gonna use it, buy it from us, and be happy. But the thing is always allow yourself to understand what you're gonna be using the car for before you go and buy the performance parts, because there's a lot of different coilovers at a lot of different spring rates and different sort of options and pricing that a lot of times you don't need to go from one ditch over to another ditch. There's a happy medium. It's not that, it's not that tough. You don't have to get peer pressured by your friends. Let me tell you another rookie mistake people do when they buy suspension. I need you to come up a little bit, come up closer. They don't do the other stuff when installing suspension. So prime example numero uno, you get your BC coilovers or your Tane coilovers from guys and you're happy and you're in the garage and you just tore into the car faster than a Christmas present. And it's torn apart way more than it actually needs to be because you got really excited. You figured if you tear everything apart, you'll definitely put it all back together, even though you and I both know that's not gonna happen, and you're gonna realize that you're gonna break half your skid plate things and then just gonna let the skid plate stay in the back of the garage because you don't need that. So you're ready to rock and roll, and you look underneath your sturdy steed, and as you shed your $14 advanced auto light into the wheel well, you notice some, we'll call it funky stuff. That funky stuff are your bushings being cracked, your axle shafts being torn, brake lines cracking, bent lower control arms, and maybe just a little frog that decided to meet your car one night and never left. Either way, it's no bueno, my man. You're gonna want to do some other work, as they would say, especially while you're going in there. And unfortunately, for most people, they just decide to install the suspension, kind of put it back on the ground, and they say, you know what? If I don't see it, it ain't there. Fix those items because it's just gonna help you. You really do have two options. You can fix them because Alex said so that one time, because it'll help you get the maximum amount of performance out of your suspension and vehicle as a whole, or like I said, you close a blind eye, install your coils, and go straight into a full send. We would recommend don't sending it. And don't say send it, please. Those little things are what make your car suspension truly rock and roll. And if you skimp out on it, I will haunt you. I will haunt you forever. I'm already pale. All I need is a bed sheet. I promise. Just do it and be done with it. Bushings help with absorbing the road. Axle shaft boots help with keeping those moving bits cool with grease and love. Brake lines help with braking, do it all, and you'll have a new whole car, I promise. Another big mistake people make with buying suspension would be having a tendency, and it does exist in this world right now, a little bit more than previous years, and that would be going to the extreme. Here's the thing. You love low cars, and so do I. They're fun, they look good, and they're quite good looking. However, a super high spring rate on some super low coilovers, it may not just be the best idea for your daily driver. I'm just saying, you know, there's a whole reason that we have the good old gallery, so you can see exactly which suspension specs and what somebody else is running and how it actually looks and if they like it or not. Because if you're lucky, people might even bless you with their spring rates, which helps a ton. I would realistically say that if you're picking out suspension, the odds of you needing super low straight out of the gate are actually pretty low. Your standard coilover and standard spring rate are usually a great place to start if you're just delving into the world of suspension. You don't need to go insane with air or with super tight spring rates or super lows or anything like that, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get your car into a state of unfunctional. And we've done that before. I don't know if you've kept an eye on our E30, but that has happened. It looks great. It's just a thing, going into having a standard coilover, not going extreme one way or another, is just gonna help you enjoy the car more. You never wanna build a car out of your case of enjoying it, and that happens a lot. Another common mistake people make when buying suspension is they do all of the previous, right? They get the suspension, don't go insane with their specs because they use their resources. They replace everything, they install it all correctly, and then they are done. That's it, right? Wrong. Even though you're just buying aftermarket suspension, that doesn't mean you should say you're done when the parts actually get installed. We gotta go get an alignment there, bud. You gotta make sure that their axle geometry is all proper and fit so that, you don't get the excessive wear on your tires and your driving habits can actually resume at a proper state of mind without any sort of excessive, play at high speeds or low speeds or braking or turn, all that sort of stuff. So even on vehicles where people say you don't have to do an alignment, which seems like a very odd argument to make, you probably should. This goes especially true for everyone that goes hard in the suspension game with tight fitment and clean setups. Dialing in that alignment and all that jazz allows you to rest easy that the vehicle is actually going to be able to function without destroying a tire or a fender. That goes especially true for those that are running on the track, especially as you consider the amount of effort that you're going to be putting into the car and all of the heat cycles and stress that you're going to be putting onto the suspension components. Making sure that you got your alignment dialed into a T is going to make the difference between you looking like a fool just going out into the grass or just hitting a wall and you going through those apexes like Ayrton Senna. If you feel motivated enough to pick up some suspension after you've listened to this face talk about it for a while, hop on over to fitmentindustries.com where we got your air suspension, coilovers, lowering springs, the good stuff, and all of that. Don't forget to subscribe. It allows us to keep moving cool videos like this.
Oh my God, bro, look at the curves on this ST, man. Look at the lip on this wheel, man. Yo, is this real carbon fiber? Yo, come on.
If not, just leave a comment below telling us what your suspension mistakes you've made in the years, and we will either laugh or we will cry with you. Either way, I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We hope you enjoyed. We will see you later. Peace.